Hi, we're here with Jordan Chariton from TYT Politics. We want to check in and see he's doing some great work, and he's been up in North Dakota. He was in New York outside the Clinton campaign on election night. Jordan, how are you?
Doing well, Jimmy. How about you?
I'm doing good. What's your take on the election?
Well, a 30-year neoliberal bubble just popped. That's my take. I think this I wrote a piece for CNBC basically saying Hillary Clinton's defeat was sealed years ago. If you look through history, I mean, 1970s, 1980s, the Democrats, in response to the Republican takeover, moved all the way to the right. Then Bill Clinton does more than any Republican could dream of, deregulating, tax policy, the bank policies. Then you have a cowboy destroy the economy in the 2000s with Obama in, but Obama not responding to the mandate. He had a similar mandate that an FDR had in the 1930s. He does, he basically gives sexual favors to the banks, to the oil companies. And I did a video today. A lot of people aren't realizing Obama paved the way for Hillary Clinton. Obama cleared the field years ago for Hillary Clinton. So they get what they sow. And you had, you and I both said months ago, she's a weak candidate. They are underestimating the anger out there. They dropped 5 points among African Americans, 6 points among Latinos, 6 points among millennials. That's what happens.
Yeah, she got 6 million less votes than Barack Obama got. She got less votes than Mitt Romney. I mean, if that isn't a wake-up call. It was an underperforming Hillary Clinton. She went to the Rust Belt states at the same time. They know what NAFTA did to them. At the same time, Barack Obama was pushing TPP. She's asking those Rust Belt people to come out and vote for her, and they didn't come out and vote for her. She got less votes than Barack Obama did in Detroit and in Milwaukee. And those are African Americans. They didn't come out for her, and she lost those two states by very little margins. And why would anybody fucking vote for her in Michigan? She explodes the prison population at the same time they got welfare, and then they passed NAFTA. They do that all at the same time, and those people in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania know they fucking did it. And if that wasn't enough, Barack Obama's screaming at the top of his lungs, we got to push TPP. At the same time, Hillary's trying to get votes from those people. I mean, that was just that's not like, that's an irrational response. That's not like bad strategy. That's irrational.
Right. But also, and I hate to defend Hillary Clinton's campaign, but I have to. What else were they going to do other than Trump is bad? They didn't have a record to run on. I mean, you and I did a whole hour on WikiLeaks. These emails showed her campaign was literally trying an extreme makeover within a year. They were trying to make it seem that she's anti-TPP. They were trying to make it seem like she is this champion against climate change. But her record does not support that. So what is she going to go up and say? What is she going to say? I voted to extend the Bush tax cuts. I voted for the Repatriation Act, which gave a huge BJ to offshore tax companies to bring their money back. No strings attached. I voted for the Patriot Act. I mean, we could go on and on. She didn't have the record of a progressive, and she was running in a year where the jig was up. People were fed up. And you know what? In fairness, Obama, I got a lot of problems with Obama. Are things better than '08? Of course they are. But the problem is Democrats and Obama, they rested on their laurels saying, oh, we took you out of the Great Depression. We took you out of the financial crash. Say all these artificial numbers, 4.9% unemployment. And Hillary Clinton and the Democrats didn't recognize the majority are still living paycheck to paycheck. The majority are still struggling. White, black, Latino, it doesn't matter. And they just rested on, demographics is destiny, the Obama coalition. One thing, Hillary Clinton fundamentally was the wrong candidate, but the arrogance, Jimmy, the arrogance of Hillary Clinton and her campaign, the arrogance to pick Tim Kaine, the arrogance to treat Bernie supporters the way they did at the DNC.
And they're still fucking doing it, Jordan, by the way. They're still doing that.
Yeah. I mean, Neera Tanden, good old Neera Tanden from the Center of American Progress was tweeting out today, knocking Bernie Sanders, and then people got into her and she deleted the tweets. These are elitist establishment people. They've been in Washington too long. They can't see the sun at sunrise. And It's everybody's fault. I mean, Politico just did a story. They're blaming James Comey. They're blaming WikiLeaks. She lost by 6 million votes. So,
Jordan, I couldn't agree.
Now you have Howard Dean. Howard Dean coming out that he wants to be the DNC chair. Are you kidding me? Howard Dean, the lobbyist, the guy who voted for her as superdelegate in Vermont, even though Vermont voted against her. I mean,
yeah, he was one of those guys. He blocked me on Twitter because when he said that, I wouldn't let him off the hook. It's like, don't you get it? Like, here you're an establishment figure who's going to vote against your own people to support a political insider that you owe a favor to. And you don't see that might be a problem, and he just deletes. He just blocks everybody. I'm like, this is your problem. You're a lobbyist. And he's like, I'm not a lobbyist. He works for the biggest lobbyist law firm in the world, shoulder to shoulder with Newt Gingrich. So Howard Dean, again, he's one of the horrible sellouts. John Lewis, by the way, I talked about his on one of my premium episodes. Also a total sellout. And he betrayed his own base. Again, John Lewis, he was a great civil rights person. He's done heroic things, which means he had something to betray. He betrayed his legacy, and he shit on Bernie Sanders, a guy who was chaining himself to black women during the civil rights movement, and for a woman who was working for Goldwater at the same time, and then in the 90s exploded the prison population, called black people super predators while gutting welfare. That's who John Lewis backed. That's a betrayal.
Yeah. And by the way, Jimmy, let's not give President Obama a pass, because he set this train in motion, and I'll tell you why. A lot of people don't know this. In 2008, after he got elected, he decimated the DNC. He transferred DNC resources over to Organizing for America, which was his grassroots organization. In 2010, why do you think Scott Brown, a nobody, a Playboy model, won in Massachusetts? Because the DNC had no resources. They were literally making calls 2 days before for the first time to African Americans in Massachusetts to come out and vote. In 2010, he appointed Debbie Wasserman Schultz as DNC chair. You know why? Not because she's so great, because she comes from old money in South Florida, and she was a prolific fundraiser. That's why they appointed Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Everybody and their mother, including lawmakers, said she's terrible on TV. She's a talking point machine. We need state operations, a 50-state strategy. They put her on. After Barack Obama won re-election, they said, get rid of her. She had no part to play. You were lucky you faced Gordon Gekko. They kept her. And see what happened. By the way, Obama intentionally, he didn't keep Elizabeth Warren out of the Consumer Financial Bureau because Wall Street would crap on him and the money would dry up. He didn't want her to have an elevated position because he didn't want her running in 2016. Just like reports say that Joe Biden was actually leaning towards running for president. Obama said to his vice president, don't do it, Joe. Don't do it. You'll get crushed. He, for whatever reason, had Hillary Clinton as his successor. I would say most likely because he knew she would do just the 0.8% level of change that he was okay with and carry on his legacy. So Obama stopped Warren from rising her profile. Obama stopped Joe. And by the way, Biden knows these areas that ended up electing Trump. He spoke to the dollar worker.
Yeah.
I was a Bernie guy, but I don't see Joe Biden losing to Trump either.
No, not a chance. Joe Biden would not lose because Joe Biden knows how to talk like a human being. And that's another thing. Hillary Clinton had no clue. She still doesn't know how to talk like a human being. I'm not kidding. That's not hyperbole. That's not me trying to insult her in an unfair way. That's me making a sober assessment. And I've said this before. I said it at the beginning of the campaign when she had a 60-point lead. I said the problem with Hillary Clinton is that she's not only a flawed candidate, unbelievably flawed, but she's a bad politician, meaning the more she talks, the less people like her. So when she goes out to try to raise her numbers, they don't go up, they go down. So if you noticed, when she was at her most popular is when she was out of the public spotlight. And as soon as she got back into the public spotlight, her numbers plummeted because when she talks, she's inauthentic. She's like Al Gore, but worse, right? Because and people don't understand that. People have no idea that. By the way, Lawrence O'Donnell did a story a couple months ago, actually, about how when they spent $30 million on Hillary Clinton in New York and her New York Senate run, it moved the polls zero. So the same lead she started with is the same lead she ended with. They didn't move her lead up one thing, and they spent 30. And when she ran against Lazio, so again, that should have been a clue. These people are supposed to be professional politicians. I'm talking about Donna Brazile, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Howard Dean. That's all these people do for a living. They have $1 million consultants. They have pollsters. They have everybody. They have people who work in the field, and they still got every fucking thing wrong. Everything. They still didn't realize that Hillary Clinton was going to suppress the vote, and she did suppress the vote. She hurt ballot ticket people. She didn't help. She got less votes than Mitt Romney, and people are blaming again, and the DNC is blaming everybody else. Everybody. By the way, Donna Brazile had a meeting already, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're the captain of the Titanic. I think you have to resign when everybody on the ship fucking drowns. Am I wrong about that?
No. And by the way, let's be clear. She made a lot of mistakes. Hillary Clinton made a lot of mistakes. But her campaign's biggest mistake, which lost them this election, in my view, other than her having as little charisma than my left toe, you narrowly beated a 74-year-old socialist. You just saw him awoken millions of young people. And instead of having a little humility, saying, you know what? I'm going to pick Elizabeth Warren as my vice president. I'm going to pick Sherrod Brown as my vice president. Tom Perez, Labor Secretary, who isn't as well known, but at least is more progressive. Instead of that, you said, I don't need him. I'll pick Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine was a net zero. He had about 5 people show up when he spoke. And you know what? You tell me, with Elizabeth Warren as vice president, that they couldn't have won. That 1 point they lost in Wisconsin. That 1 point they lost in Michigan. The 1 point they lost in Florida. You tell me Elizabeth Warren on stump. I think a lot of those Bernie people who do not like Hillary Clinton come out regardless. Not right away, but in the 11th hour, they come out. So at the end of the day, her campaign made the calculation. We have a better shot playing to, quote, never Trumpers and moderate Republicans and neocons. She surrounds herself with neocons. She invited to the debate, the third debate, Meg Whitman. You know Meg Whitman in California. The one who tried to cut welfare, trying to become governor. It was out in the open. They didn't hide the fact that they were moving, the progressive who gets things done. Yeah, she was getting things done for Republicans. So it's arrogance, it's stupidity, it's miscalculation, and they deserve it.
Judah Friedlander tweeted out that Hillary Clinton did not go on Democracy Now! And she did not go on the Young Turks. She didn't even try to talk to progressives. She went on Fox News. She didn't go on Democracy Now! She didn't go on the Young Turks. The Young Turks got 4.4 million viewers on election night. She didn't go on those are all progressives.
Yeah, and she thought having Lena Dunham and Katy Perry and all these, celebs go out, let them talk to the kiddies. I have fundraisers to go to.
You talk about how they ran towards Republicans. It's worse than people think, because I did another video about Chuck Schumer was quoted as saying this: don't worry, for every blue-collar Democrat we lose in rural Pennsylvania, we'll make up 2 or 3 Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia. That's literally what Chuck Schumer said, the leading Senate Democrat. So their electoral strategy was to try to get Republicans to vote for her instead of getting blue-collar Democrats to vote for her. And I'm like, well, why don't you just fucking be a Republican?
Yeah. And by the way, what did you do to get... I was told by people in Ohio, African Americans in Ohio, that they didn't start radio blitzing on black radio until Saturday and Sunday before the election. This is African American neighborhoods in Milwaukee, in Ohio, in Florida. They just assumed, we have the ground game. They looked like a bunch of computer nerds at data. Yeah, Obama had a great data operation, but Obama was their candidate. They were relying on data and algorithms, but they weren't. I talked to Roland Martin about this today. Roland Martin has one of the biggest shows, African-American tailored shows in America. They just took the black vote for granted. And by the way, nobody expects Hillary Clinton to get the same number Barack Obama got. He is an African-American president. However, 5 points is a big drop-off, particularly when black people are up against Mussolini.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. So it was failure after failure. But you know what? The big failure honestly was you had the wrong people running at the wrong time. It's not just Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton around her. Bill Clinton was telling her to do these things. The John Podesta, straight out of Think Progress and Center for American Progress, real liberal think tanks. You had people, they haven't been out there in real America. Please, they don't know what's going on. They don't know how NAFTA and these things, and they don't care. We saw, you and I talked about it. John Podesta was loved on his birthday. He got Medicare. Oh, thank God for single payer. But I don't want Young Turks viewers to have single payer. No.
That was an amazing
liberalism.
That was liberalism for the rich. That's what the neoliberalism is. It's liberalism for the rich and fuck everybody else. And that email showed it all. She was out there screaming at the top of her lungs, almost jubilantly saying, we'll never have single payer health care in America. Bernie's crazy. And there was John Podesta's email again, made it to Medicare. Woohoo! You motherfuckers. Listen, Jordan, I'm up. I have to get in. I have to leave now. So I'm sorry. We don't have more time to talk. Let's pick this up. And when we pick it up, Jordan, let's talk about what is going to happen going forward. So thanks for being, hey, so everybody check out Jordan at tytpolitics.com. That's what what is it? YouTube? Tell people what it is.
YouTube.com/TYTpolitics. We've gone up 15,000 subscribers in 2 weeks, Jimmy.
I'm telling you, people are looking for progressive views, right? And people are sick and tired of MSNBC. I saw Chris Hardball's fucking sucking up to Trump already, trying to get him to come on the show. I just did a video about it. It's so disgusting. So that's why, Jordan, people are coming to your channel because you're doing real journalism. You confronted Donna Brazile, and you asked a follow-up question, and everybody's head fucking exploded. It was beautiful. And so you're on it. You're on the WikiLeaks. You're doing really. You're up in North Dakota. You're in the heartland of the Rust Belt. You're everywhere. You're doing great work, and that's why people are coming to your channel, because you're doing real journalism and you're not bought and you're not feeding them fucking talking points that was thought up by Neera Tanden. So thanks for doing a great job, and everybody should check out Jordan's channel. And we'll talk about what's going forward next time. Thanks for being on, Jordan.
Thanks, Jimmy.